Hi friends, I'm McLean and welcome to something new I'm trying this year. I've been wanting to create a space where I can share all the making that happens in my studio each month. Not the polished, planned projects with step-by-step tutorials, but the real rhythm of a creative life. The works in progress that finally get finished, the kits that finally find their purpose, and the experiments that teach me something new. Starting this month, I'm going to try to bring you a monthly recap of everything I'm working on, but I need to be honest with you from the start. I'm using the word try very intentionally here. I'm setting this intention knowing that chronic illness and life don't always match up with content calendars. Some months might be full of making, where others might ask me to rest instead. I'll do my best to keep this monthly schedule, but I'm also giving myself permission to be flexible when my body needs me to be. This is January's collection of projects. Some of them have been waiting months to be finished, and some really surprised me with how much they taught me along the way. Let me show you what I've been working on. I started out the month by finally painting some air-dried clay projects that are left over from my Crafting Coven Summer Solstice air-dried clay craft kit. Most of these are little sets for tic-tac-toe, and you'll see me painting whole tomatoes, sliced tomatoes, hard-boiled eggs, shrimp, and lemons. I'm also painting one green tic-tac-toe board and one yellow floral frog. While I did another set of tomatoes in my Summer Solstice video, which I'll link on the screen now and in the description below, I've never painted shrimp or lemons before, and I really enjoyed both. To give these a dual purpose, I also added magnets on the back to all of them. I plan to give all the tomatoes to a friend of mine who comments on them every time she comes over to my house. You'll also see me painting a framed vintage needlepoint since I already had the paint out. Here is a closer view of how everything turned out. I'm definitely going to make more air-dried clay shrimp, maybe a little set of earrings, but I have to say the tomatoes are still my favorite. I want to start off this section by saying I am not a painter, at least not this type of painting. I can paint a wall or a piece of furniture, but when it comes to painting a canvas and trying to get a good looking result, let's just say that's not really my wheelhouse. I really like the way paint by numbers look, and for a while earlier in my life I collected vintage paint by number paintings. As you may also know from other videos, I run a craft kit subscription and really enjoy putting together craft kits. Also, through my custom merch company, I've assisted a few other artists in turning their art into custom paint by number kits. All that to say, I purchased a few paint by number kits last year, and now it's time to work on the first one. Depending on where you purchase your paint by number kit, they usually come in one of two ways. The first way is printed on a piece of chipboard. Most of the vintage paint by numbers I have are on chipboard, and a lot of the kits I used to buy back in the late 90s and early 2000s from places like Michael's craft stores were printed on chipboard. However, the most common type you'll see these days, available in places like Etsy, Amazon, and even Temu, contain a sheet of canvas printed with the pattern and all the numbers, a set of little paint pots with corresponding numbers, a few paint brushes, and maybe a little card showing you what the painting should look like when it's done. Some modern kits also come with a little card that's a miniature copy of the pattern itself, which I really like, but I don't see that as often as I wish I did. Sometimes this canvas will be actually cotton canvas, but usually these days it's a synthetic polyester or possibly nylon, and it doesn't come pre-stretched on a frame because it's cheaper to ship like this. I think you could probably paint these without attaching them to a frame and just hang them up on your wall like a poster, but I personally prefer when they look more like a proper stretched canvas painting. So the first thing I need to do is buy and assemble a frame. Canvas frames are easy to find at any art supply store, but I'll put a link in the description as well. I'm going to add my disclaimer here, and this will apply to the next section of applying the canvas as well. This is not how to properly set up a frame or stretch a canvas. This is the quick and dirty way for a cheap paint by number kit, not a professional piece of art worth thousands of dollars. The canvas usually comes folded, and I found I get a better result if I iron it before I attach it to my frame. I'm going to do that on a medium heat setting since this is a synthetic fabric. Go slowly and take your time so you don't accidentally melt the fabric. You can use a little bit of steam, but proceed with caution because if you use too much, you'll ruin your canvas. Now that the glue on my frame is dry and my canvas is ironed, all I'm going to do is attach my canvas to the frame with an electric staple gun. On each side, I'll start in the center and work my way around, and as I move around the frame, I'll pull my canvas as tightly as I can. You don't need to get this drum tight, but you do want it to be secure so it doesn't sag as you're putting weight on it with your arm as you're painting. Okay, now that our canvas is attached to our frame, we can get to painting. You probably can't tell what this is going to be yet, but for some context, I will be color drenching one of the upstairs bathrooms in my home later this year, and I'd like to cover the walls in coastal paintings and decor. So this first paint by numbers is a nature scene with a lighthouse. I haven't done a paint by number kit in about 20 years, and I can't wait to show you the reveal of how this one came out and how good these kits have gotten. But I would not have been able to do this if I didn't have this lighted magnifying lamp and some extremely tiny detail brushes. So many of the little sections are extremely tiny. We're talking less than 1 millimeter in size. So not only does that take a lot of concentration and a decent magnifying lamp, but it also took many, many hours to finish this kit. I'd say I probably spent a good 100 hours working on this painting. It may have taken me longer than an average person because I'm still working on improving my hand-eye coordination after a stroke a few years ago, and when I tell my hand to do something, sometimes it takes a few extra seconds for the message to get through. In that respect, this kit was fantastic training for my brain. And this is how my paint by number of a lighthouse turned out. I'm really pleased with how this came out. It took forever. It was so tedious. I ended up not being able to use my easel because I had to use my magnifying lamp because so many of these little bubbles are like 1 millimeter by 2 millimeters, and I cannot see that with the naked eye. So to get this good of a result took some real effort and was really hard on my neck. I do actually have 4 more of these that I need to put together and paint over the next year, probably. And I'll try to figure out a better order of operations, I guess, so that they're not so hard on my body. But yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. I do think that I will add a frame. I don't know if it'll be a fabric frame like I tend to do with so many other things in my house, but we'll see. One of the themes in this video is starting off this year by trying to finish any projects left over from last year, which means next up for January craft projects is sewing all the felt chickens and ducks that have been cut out since last September and assembling them into earrings and keychains or bag charms. One of the things I continue to struggle with is how much longer everything takes me to do now that I'm chronically ill and disabled. You'd think I'd be used to it by now and have a better internal clock for how long something is going to take, and maybe you'll relate to this if you also experience chronic illness or disability, but my internal clock seems to forever be programmed with my pre-disability capabilities. These earrings and bag charms were originally supposed to be part of my October shop update, but I just wasn't able to get them done in time. I thought I was going to do a second shop update for November, but life had other plans, so here we are 4 months later, finally finishing them. One thing I'm really excited about for these bag charms specifically is that I'm pairing each one with an enamel charm that I designed and manufactured through my custom merch company. All of these charms are also available on my website as enamel pins, magnets, or needle minders. So first I finished all the felt chicken earrings. So here is a little pink pair and some brown chickens, a pair of tan chickens, and a pair of purple floral chickens. Then I sewed up all of my bag charms or keychains. All of these are a felt chicken or duck with one of my enamel charms added to them. So this one is a floral chicken with a little cucamelon charm. This is another floral chicken. I need to change out the keychain part because it doesn't match the other ones and add a charm to this one, but that's what this chicken looks like. We have a brown chicken with an enamel tomato charm and a burgundy chicken with another cucamelon charm. I need to add the little clip part to this one, which I'll do this week. I really like cucamelons. If you've never heard of a cucamelon, look them up. They're really cool. They look like a watermelon, but they're tiny and they taste just like a cucumber that's had like lemon squeezed on it. For the ducks, I have this red and white duck with some hops. I need to add its little clip. Okay, it looks like all of my ducks need the little clip on the top, but here's a green duck with enamel morning glories. These are specifically the Grandpa Ott morning glories that I grew this year, and a red duck with a little strawberry charm. Oh, I also made this duck keychain slash bag charm with a Tip Top Alaska nasturtium enamel charm, but I forgot to mention it because I actually made this one for myself. But if you want one, I could make you another one of these if you like it. I also had some beads that I picked up last year that I really wanted to make into earrings and necklace pendants. I'm waiting for my gold-filled necklace chains to come in, but here are the earrings and the necklace pendant for the bok choy and fish earrings. So it's a little glass bok choy with a little white daisy on top and a blue Evil Eye sardine on the bottom. And then these ones have a glass persimmon on the top and a larger blue ceramic Evil Eye sardine on the bottom. All of these felt and bead items will be added to my online shop soon, I hope. I'm terrible at updating my online shop, but I will try to get these listed. You know what? By the time you're watching this, these will be available at mcleansmythe.com. Now it's time for more fabric frames. If you watched my October shop update video, which I will link on the screen now and also in the description below, you saw me working on a lot of these for my shop, but now I'm finally getting around to doing a bunch for my own home. I have 18 pieces of art that range in size from 4 by 4 inches all the way up to 2 by 3 feet, and the larger you get, the trickier the fabric frame is to get right. I'm not doing a fabric frame for every single piece of art in my house, but almost. Well, I completely ran out of Mod Podge, which is the product I prefer for doing these fabric frames, and we've just had a snowstorm. The roads are really sketchy, so I won't be getting any more for a few days, so I won't be finishing this stack of frames in this video. That'll have to be for the next video, but let me show you the ones that I did get finished. First, we have this one of a little drawing I made a long time ago of this little lady with some tomatoes. Sorry, I know the glass is gonna glare a little bit. I'll do my best. This one, because the embroidery I did fit the whole frame, I just did the outside in this plaid. Next, using the same yellow plaid check fabric and then adding this floral fabric around the outside, I actually chose to frame one of my Snacky Goat t-shirts. I really love this design that my friend Sarah Welch did for me, and I wanted to make it into art. This is a print that was given to me by my bestie. It's by Solstice Handmade, I think is the maker, and this is how I've chosen to frame it. Next is a few random bits from an old brand that I used to have called McLean Loves You. I just thought it would look good framed, so I framed it, and these are the fabrics I chose. I have no idea where I got this print of these ladies doing handstands, but I liked the pink frame that, I think I probably bought this frame separately. Anyways, I liked the pink frame, so I only did fabric on the mat itself, and this is the fabric I chose to go with these ladies. This is another remnant I found in my old, I have like a portfolio case that's just gotten random things shoved in it over the years. I did a project for an ex-boyfriend called Olive Juice. Oh, how cute. Anyways, I liked some of these lettering tests, so I framed them, and this is the fabric I chose. And lastly, since I was only doing the mat on this one, I tried using Elmer's glue, which Mod Podge and Elmer's glue are both PVA based, but Mod Podge has a couple of additional additives that Elmer's or just plain PVA glue doesn't have, but it worked for this purpose. This is actually a dish towel from Rifle Paper Co. And I thought it was too beautiful to use as a dish towel, so I framed it. And this is the fabric that I chose for the mat. And then I bought this sort of wood grained frame and just painted it the same green that I've painted a lot of things in my house. Okay, we'll pick fabric frames back up next month, but for now, let's move on to our next project. This next craft project is a little sentimental in an unusual way. A few years ago, I was really, really sick. I'm still sick now. I'm still chronically ill and have to navigate that every day. But in fall of 2022, I was being told it was time for hospice, surprised to wake up every morning. Things were bad. And one of the ways I crawled out of that pit was finding ways to craft again. And I started with these miniature kits. They were things that I could do in little tiny increments and little tiny pieces in bed, in whatever position I found myself in. And, it took a long time, but with a little bit every day, eventually I'd finish a kit and have this completed scene and have this, milestone of like, okay, this one's done. Let's move on to the next one. And that was really, really a big part of finding functionality again. And if you've watched my craft room makeover video that I posted in August, which I'll try to remember to link in the description or put a title card up here, however that works, I added a little shelf above the doors in my craft room to house the miniature kits that I did in 2022 and left a lot of extra space to do more miniature kits in the future. I've always wanted to do this one of a greenhouse. This kit is pretty easy to find. I got mine on Etsy, but I probably paid more than I had to because these are also available on places like Amazon and Temu. And I thought it would be a really cute addition to that shelf above the door. The first thing I do when I open one of these miniature kits is go through everything and kind of get my bearings. And then all you need to do is just go in order of the instruction booklet. The instruction booklet might be too generous of a term. It's really just a picture booklet, and you do need some craft knowledge to decode some of the pictures. Both a good and a bad thing about these miniature kits is they start with 1 million tiny little things, and it can be hard to see the final outcome when you're putting all these little tiny things together. But that's also something I like about these kits. It kind of forces you to zone out and just concentrate on one tiny task at a time. I think that's one of the reasons kits like this one helped me so much when I was so sick. I used to be a person that tried to get as much done as possible all in one go. Don't rest until you're done, etc., but that's not really sustainable for anyone, and that's especially not possible for me now that I navigate permanent chronic illness. These little miniature kits have helped me learn one of my most important lessons in this lifetime, which is that tiny progress every day really adds up over time. That being said, I do not remember these kits taking this long. And that makes it especially educational, putting a kit together now when I'm so much more functional than I was a few years ago. The last time I did one of these kits, it could take as long as it took. I didn't have anything else going on. I think the last one I made took me almost 2 months to finish. But these days, I've given myself a long list full of things I'm really excited to tackle, and that means I don't have the opportunity to work on something like this slowly. It's a really interesting juxtaposition, and it's helping me identify if I'm actually giving myself too much these days, and maybe I need to pare things back down. But if you're also a creative person, you might understand how difficult that is now that I'm finally able to do anything again. All that to say, as much as I don't want to leave 2 unfinished projects in this video, I really need to pause this and work on some paid projects, packaging enamel pins for a custom merch client. So I do think this is where I'm going to need to stop working on this miniature kit for this video, and I will pick this back up in the February craft project video. That's everything I worked on in January. Some of it got finished, some of it will carry over into February, and that's okay. And actually, that's not even everything. January also included finishing my laundry room makeover, which was featured in last week's video, a few other home projects, and an IKEA dresser makeover, which will be in next week and the week after's videos, and prepping for 2 back-to-back winter storms, one of which brought us more snow than our area has seen in over a decade. But this is exactly why I've started documenting so much to upload to this platform. These videos have become my proof of progress. When I sit back and look at all the reference material I've already posted and still have left to post for the rest of this month, I can't believe how much I got done in January alone. I want to be clear, labor and productivity do not equal value. That is not the message I'm trying to send here. I simply want to appreciate how far I've come from, do I have enough energy to lay on the couch and watch a movie, to this. If you're interested in what I'm crafting this month, subscribe to catch the February recap when it goes live. I'm hoping to finish that greenhouse kit, wrap up the rest of the fabric frames, and start on a few new projects from my long list of dreams. If you watched all the way through, thank you. This is a new format for me, and I'd love to know what you think. Which project resonated with you? What would you like to see more of in the future? Your comments genuinely help me understand what's working and what you're interested in. And if you liked this, hitting the like button and watching another video or two really helps more people find this channel. I'm also on Instagram if you want more behind the scenes content and studio updates, and I would love to connect with you there. Thank you for being here and supporting this work. I will see you in the next one.